Well, what we want to do is we want to give you even further tips on project and problem-based learning, and I think it's important to kind of give you a general framework to work within with the project and problem-based learning. Now, obviously, you're going to choose the targets and so forth, what's important for you and your subject area, your grade level, and what's appropriate based on the conditions that you see. But you should have lay out the number of days in which you're going to work on this. So you have an idea within your unit, or is it going to overlap into other units, or maybe if you're older students, maybe it's something that you want to work on throughout the year. It's really up to you as a teacher, and that's your professional judgment. The one thing is you want to work with the backwards design in mind. You want to know what your targets are, what your skills, topics, and techniques that you're trying to glean from this project. What are your actual routines that you're going to put in place? And you want to teach those routines to students. So what does your group look like? What is responsibilities within those groups? What are the deadlines that you need to meet? And then also you want to think about building in a check-in station or check-in time that the teacher checks in on particularly individual students or group work to see how progress is being made. You want to check and have some sort of checkpoint on a regular basis so it doesn't get too far off schedule. The other thing is that what we want to do is consider also spaces that we may use, technologies that we may use, and also what kind of formative assessments are we going to be making. Not only teacher to student, but also what kind of assessments are students going to make on their own work, during this project or problem-based learning exercise. And so you want to consider both ends of it, And so those are just some of the tips. You also want to consider giving students a voice. You want to, have them, create their own idea, their own processes. It's important for them to own the learning at this stage. And you also want them to, through that, to be self-regulated. You want them to be able to manage themselves and also others. And so the consideration of, self-reflection is really, really important. And then the correction and the pivot on that self-reflection, right? So we want them to be able to pivot, to be able to change directions. And so therefore, in order to attain the goal that a manager may be seeking, or to create value for another person as an entrepreneur should. So these are just some helpful tips in setting up your project. Your project is going to be based on your subject matter or grade level, obviously. But when you're looking at a project, you remember project-based learning, you're giving students the desired outcome that you're looking for. And in a problem-based learning exercise, they're trying to develop that outcome and then a process to deliver. So they have one more step. They have to develop what that successful outcome should look like and then the process itself. But in a project, you're going to give them the outcome as a teacher and then they develop the process. So it's a step one, teach them how to do projects and develop a process in order to get a successful outcome. Step two in this application process is problem-based learning, where they actually develop, get an idea of what a success looks like and then develop a process to get there based on the research they did about value for, what the value proposition is. And so this is, very similar in setup, but, remember, project and problem-based learning are just a little bit different. And so, a lot of times people intermingle it, right? And they see a lot of information on that. We like to separate that and create clarity around what's the purpose behind each one. And that's the difference between, some of our work and others that may talk about it, is that we think there's a real purpose behind the design of project-based learning and problem-based learning. And so we want to separate the two in order to create clarity for you and what you're giving, you're designing for your students.